Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. What do we got today, Rick?
We got our Week 14 starts and sits.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
We them boys. Dude, I'm going to be so...
Dude, it's the playoffs.
It really is, but I'm going to be so devastated. I'm going to be so devastated if I don't make any championship games this year.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I might just wear like a black hoodie the entire week.
You don't make any?
Like, I'm not even going to change my...
Well, I know for a
I'm not even
fact.
going to change my clothes.
No, for a fact, you're not going to make one because I'm going to beat you this week in the staff league.
Oh, we are duking.
Actually, to be completely honest with you, and this is on the record, so if you do beat me, you don't have to like talk trash. I really think it's like truly 50-50. I think it could really go either way between us.
Are you just saying that?
No, I really like. We just went through the rosters and we were like, yeah, this player on my team, and then we were like, yeah, this player on your team.
Yeah.
It's like totally 50-50. But we are playing against each other.
Me and Rick are playing against each other in the staff league this week.
Fantasy champion staff.
So the home league's out the window. I'm probably going to treat this game it's starting to feel like a very home league game.
It's just because we're playing. It wouldn't if any other.
We're playing each other in a league where most people are very good at fantasy football.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, my name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. Today we have our Week 14 starts and sits, and tomorrow we have the news, and then first round of the fantasy playoffs. A little bit nervous.
You are. See, I'm not that nervous because I have 3 bye weeks. 4 if you include the home league, but that's not a bye week because I'm in the playoffs. It's a bye week because I'm out of the playoffs.
How many leagues?
It's 7.
I'm in 7 too. I made the playoffs in 3.
Good. I'm in the playoffs in. Oh, I'm in 8. I'm
2
in the
are
playoffs
rebuilding
in 6.
dynasty teams.
I'm in one more league than you're in.
Oh, you're in 8.
Yeah, I'm in 8.
Oh, okay. So anyway, we got week 7. Week 14. I moved back in time. If I could go back to week 7, a lot of my fantasy season would have changed.
You know, you could say that every year, though. Like, really, I mean, you could say that every week.
I should have just offered the one more play. You sit there and you offer trades, and there's just like one more player will get it done, but you're just something stopping you.
Yeah, I
had a deal for Dalvin Cook, and all I needed to do was he was like, I don't know, let me shop around the league, and all I need is throw that one more player in.
Yeah,
I would have gotten him, and I didn't do it. So my whole season though did in the home league, it did come down to me not putting an extra waiver like dollar on Colts D, because had I done that, I would have made the playoffs. No,
I would have.
No, because I would have. Okay, so see, here's the problem. You look at my team this week and you see it as a loss. I wasn't gonna start.
Oh, yeah. See, now that's another thing.
No,
though,
I told you that last week. I could go back on the show and show you the moment where I said I'm not gonna start Justin Herbert this week.
Okay.
I didn't care. I really wanted to just watch Herbert against the Patriots, so I started because I didn't have any hope in making the playoffs. But I would have started another quarterback and won that game, so I would have made the playoffs. I know it sounds skeevy. I really should have just started the other quarterback, so I didn't.
I'll take you at your word.
Okay. Anyway, I would have won that game, made it to the playoffs, but you know me, I'm an idiot. I hate defenses and kickers and defense. You know what? We'll do a whole episode
Please don't.
in the off season on why you should get rid of kickers and defense.
Oh, okay. We can do
a whole episode, a whole 25-minute episode. The pros, the cons, mostly cons. It's just gonna be a whole list of cons.
Dude, why don't you just let people enjoy what they want to do? What if people just want to play with defenses and kickers and they just like it?
Unacceptable.
You just can't have fun.
No fun. I'm in 2 leagues with kickers. 2. One of them's
I'm
our
in the
home
same
league.
2 leagues.
Anyway, so let's jump into our Week 14 starts and sits. Before we do that, check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter at theFFChamps, on Instagram at thefantasychampions. You can like us at facebook.com/thefantasychampions. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, what are they going to do, Rick?
Subscribe.
Oh, yeah, he was listening today. Be sure to leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. And then if you're watching on YouTube, you can also subscribe there. Click the bell for notifications because subscribing is not enough. And then leave a comment. What I'm gonna say comment about 40 times in this episode.
If you guys have starts and sits questions, because I know you do. You're in the playoffs, and you definitely don't know who to start at your flex.
I see all
Drop in
kinds
the
of people,
comments.
and these are people who understand what's going on. They comment on our videos. They say, "Wow, your content is like underrated. You should have more listeners." I'm like, "Oh, I agree," but they actually commented, and that
Appreciate
helps.
it.
That helps us get
Appreciate
the video out to more people. So if you like the comment, if you like the video, like it, and then comment, and then subscribe, and then click the bell, and all of a sudden the YouTube algorithm is just gloriously happy. And we'll recommend our video to more people.
Exactly.
So let's move
Please-
into our week
please
14 starts and sits.
Yes.
So we'll start as normal. Quarterback start, quarterback sit, and then we'll go down the list from there. There's some tough decisions on this list, and
Dude, this is playoffs. This is make or break.
I'm disappointed
Why?
in a couple of these moves by me. Most of this list was done by moi.
Yeah, I did change one thing. I was
Did you really?
determined to change one
Did
thing.
you
Yeah,
really?
we talked about it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He wanted
maybe,
to start.
Maybe we'll talk about.
Yeah,
what
we'll
he
get
changed
there.
because it is what it is. Anyway, we'll start with the quarterback position. So at the quarterback position, we have Ryan Tannehill.
You love saying it like that.
I sit in my living room by myself and cheer him on using that name,
Do you have him in any league?
and I don't know why I even say that. It's such a stupid thing to say, but it's just what I say.
Why do you cheer him on so much if you don't own him?
I have him in like 2 leagues.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't cheer. Like it's not like I'm sitting on the couch going, "Oh my god, I need to watch every Ryan Tannehill game." I've been a
So he can
Tannehill
hand it off to
truther
Derrick
since he
Henry.
went to
He's been great,
Tennessee.
actually. Yeah. No. He really has been such an underrated quarterback though.
Yeah,
And it's going to continue this week against Jacksonville.
yeah, I agree. You blew up my thought. Go ahead.
So I might as well continue then. Yeah, against Jacksonville, I believe they rank 30th against quarterbacks this year, I want to say, or 29th.
Who are they playing again? Sorry,
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
You have the whole list right
22. Well, I don't have his name here saying who he's playing.
there. Yeah, 22.6 points per game is the quarterbacks. And Tannehill all year has been super underrated. Do you know he's the QB8 in fantasy right now?
Wow.
And he might surpass Herbert, and I don't know who's ahead of him.
I don't think
but
he's going to pass Herbert
he-
this week.
No, probably not. Well, maybe. I mean, I think there's a chance he finishes though in the top 6. But yet he's not really started in a lot of leagues on a week to week basis.
Yeah.
And he should be, especially this week against Jacksonville. This is a guy that can win you your week and get you to that semifinals game. He can get another 30 points. He got,
Yeah.
I want to say 30 last week.
Mm-hmm.
Against who did they play last week?
I don't know. I can look it up.
Cleveland? Yeah, Cleveland. He got 30 against Cleveland. And against Jacksonville, a team that has just been so awful to quarterbacks. I mean, this is a game where the Tennessee, they got blown out by Cleveland. They're going to come back and probably blow out Jacksonville in kind of a revenge type game.
I
for
hope
them.
Jacksonville wins for the sake of our Patriots fanhood, but
It's not going to happen. But yeah, Tennessee, they're going to blow out Jacksonville. I think Derrick Henry is going to have a big game. Ryan Tannehill is going to have a big game.
yeah.
Another player that we're going to talk about later on this list, I think, is going to have a big game. It's just going to be a great week for Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, Jacksonville is one of the only thing I have concerns with is that Jacksonville can't keep pace with what they're going to do, and
Yep.
And then Tennessee just blows them out. But it is a division matchup on the road.
Yeah, so there's a chance.
They might be able to do that. But anyway, yeah, Tannehill, like Rick said, QB8 on the year. He's had some really great games. In the early part of the season, he was it was just easy games all about.
Yeah.
He had 19, 26, 13, 30, and 29 over the course of those weeks. I want to pull up what the numbers were for those 6 weeks. Let me just do that really quickly. I should just write this stuff down. So at that point,
Never.
at that point, Tannehill was the quarterback 11.
He had a bye week, though.
but he had a bye week through that stretch. So he was really averaging a 24 a game, which put him in the top 6, I believe, top 7.
You're looking at just change it to quarterbacks. You have 2 guys.
Oh, is it overall?
Yeah, that's overall.
Sorry. Screwing up already.
We were great at pregame show notes and stuff.
Oh, it's true. So yeah, he was top 6. So I mean, he was fantastic in the early part of the season, and then he faced a gauntlet of a schedule after that. And he had Pittsburgh, and Chicago, Indianapolis twice, and Baltimore. It just was a lot of tough games. So here to end the season, we talked about his easy schedule. He has Jacksonville, Detroit. I don't know if you want to start him against Green Bay. That's your own choice. We probably will put him on some other list.
Yeah.
So on the opposite side of the spectrum, maybe week 16. We'll see what happens. But anyway, Jacksonville and Detroit the next 2 weeks are really good. But I would feel safe starting Ryan Tannehill against Jacksonville this week.
Yeah, and last time he played Jacksonville, he also had 26 points. So
yeah, and in the staff league, he has Russell Wilson.
Oh yeah, you have Tannehill.
And I have Ryan
Stafford.
Tannehill. As you sit here and roast me. I honestly thought about it for a couple of seconds because I have Cam Newton in this league. And I was like, oh, no, never.
No,
not going to happen.
I have Tom Brady. I thought about it. Thought about starting him over Russ.
Yeah. So, anyway, Tannehill start.
Yeah.
Sit at quarterback is Jared Goff. Now, Goff, I feel like I hate to put, we were talking before the show looking at some other start and sits articles, not roasting anybody, because we support everyone who creates content in the fantasy football community. But we saw some people write some fantasy football start and sit articles, and they make them pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's like start. Give me a guy you're just gonna start.
Dalvin Cook.
Start Dalvin Cook this week because he has a good matchup. Okay. What else?
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel like Goff, when I was making
It's
this
kind of
list,
on that.
It's kind of on that, like, okay, this is an easy one because you wouldn't start Goff. I would put an honorable mention as Jalen Hurts because I also felt that was self-explanatory, but I feel like a lot of people are going to be dumb enough to start Jalen Hurts this week.
There's someone in our home league, I believe, who had Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And they picked up Jalen Hurts, and I think he's going to start him in a playoff game. So.
Don't get me excited. I got to look around the league because I might actually still have some hope in the home league over here. It's going to be a bunch of terrible teams duking it out for the worst.
I'll tell you after the show, but there's some crazy stuff.
So anyway, Jared Goff had an interesting early part of the season. He wasn't terrible. And he's had some decent games. He had the last 3 weeks, he had 25 against Tampa, 24 against Arizona, and then 5 against San Francisco.
Good week, bad week.
The point behind this is that San Francisco is not even that, like, they're tough, but they're not New England Patriots holding Kyler Murray to 8 points tough.
Yeah, and Justin Herbert to another single-digit total.
And Jared Goff doesn't tend to do well in Thursday night primetime games.
This just screams like...
I know. Run far away.
These two teams played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and the score was 10-3, wasn't it?
That was like maybe the worst Super Bowl I've
ever watched in my life. This Thursday night game is going to be, I think, something like
I don't think I've ever come out of a Super Bowl win for my home team and felt as horrible as I did about that game. I was like, why did everyone, like, that was the grossest Super Bowl win in the history of Super Bowl wins.
Hey, but it counts.
It does count.
But
6.
Yeah, right. Anyway, Jared Goff, though, against New England, it just feels like that sort of game. Because do you even think like Cam Newton in that Patriots offense is going to even score either?
No, not for a second.
Against Aaron Darnold and Jalen Ramsey.
Well, they might.
Well, you're a Patriots fan, but as a just looking at it,
somebody's got to score.
True. I think Jared Goff, this is a game where he throws like 2 picks and fumbles and just craps his pants against Bill Belichick on a Thursday night.
I mean, and right now, according to Sleeper.com, he is currently rostered in 66% of leagues, and he's being started in 34% of leagues.
Yeah, that's too high.
That is far too high. That's actually a lot higher than I thought it was going to be. But I would sit Jared Goff this week.
For sure, yeah.
So let's talk about the next guy. I'm in the wrong show notes. At the running back position, it's Swift / Peterson. Now, Swift had his brain jumbled a couple weeks ago, and he still has a concussion, I guess.
He does not have a concussion. The reason he's been missing practice is because of an illness, non-COVID related.
Oh my god,
that's why he missed the last game too.
Really?
He's actually been off.
It was a concussion.
That's how he originally got hurt, but he's been off concussion protocol, I think, for like a week now.
Okay, I guess his game is. I guess his brain is not scrambled eggs, which is a good sign. Anyway, if he does play this week, I would say that the start is Swift. But we talked about earlier this week picking up a guy by the name of Adrian Peterson and starting him if he's available in your leagues against the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are one of the better teams in the league when it comes to stopping the pass, but they're terrible on the ground.
Yeah, they're the 30th ranked against running backs.
How many points a game do they give up?
23.2. Do we know if this is half PPR or? standard
I have
or
no idea.
anything?
I'm assuming that it's PPR. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what most platforms
But
are.
yeah, 23.2 points a game to running backs. They give up a lot of yards on the ground. We've seen Jonathan Taylor had his breakout game this year against Green Bay.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if you want to consider that his breakout game, but kind of his game back from the dead, where he rushed for like 100-something yards after really stinking. If Swift plays this week, he's coming off the last time we saw Swift play, and he was a starting running back. I think he had like 22 points, and he was dominating in the passing game and the running game. It just feels like if Swift can play this week, like it seems like another 20-point week out of him. And if he doesn't play, Peterson has been good in his absence, and I think will continue to be good. I think you can get at least like 70, 80 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown from him if he plays.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you.
Good to know.
I don't like that you have Swift though.
I was gonna say,
He has Swift
baby. I
in
wanna
the
see,
staff league and the staff league playoff game that we have.
yeah. So his first game that they kind of wanted to use him, he had 25 against Jacksonville, and then he had 9 carries against Atlanta, and I want to say 6 against the Colts. And then when he got announced the starter, he actually only played one game, I believe, when he got announced the starter. Yeah, and he had 23 fantasy points. So
Yeah, no, I think
against Washington.
One of the things that intrigued me about DeAndre Swift earlier in the season was he wasn't getting any rushing attempts, and his snap percentage was relatively low. But when he was on the field, he was getting pass catching work, a lot of it, and so I'm really, he does look like this year's like Miles Sanders. You remember Sanders took all season for him to even get a chance to be the starter.
Yeah.
And then he finally took over and he had a really great game, and then it just turned into like 20-30-20 in the playoffs.
Yep.
And just won people leagues. Like, I'm not saying Swift's going to do that, but if he does come back from this illness and they do give him the full time, and I talked about offensive coordinator Darrell Bevel being a workhorse running back guy. I mean, it's a match made in heaven. Like, if you're if you're considering not starting Swift, I would be absolutely stunned.
Yeah.
Unless you have a team with 3 running backs that are five times better. But right now he's only being started in 31% of leagues. He still is questionable, but he did return to practice today, which will probably.
I think most likely he's going to play.
Yeah, so I would, unfortunately, the takes that we had about Adrian Peterson earlier in the week are going to go by the wayside, but that's just the waiver wire show in general 90% of the time. So Swift is a start this week.
Yeah. Really, even when he wasn't the starting running back, he consistently gets 5 to 4 targets every week. So he's got at least that floor.
Yeah.
Like I said, in his last game that he started, he had 20-some points, but he had 5 catches as well for 68 yards and a receiving touchdown. That is huge. Huge for fantasy.
So I wish I had a sound effect for waving the white flag.
For why?
Because our sit of the week at running back is Miles Sanders.
A moment of silence for our fallen fantasy soldier.
I'm very disappointed.
It's okay, buddy.
It really took. It was like I was making this list and I ripped my heart out and threw it on the computer. Miles Sanders against New Orleans. I would sit him this week. Rick said it on Sunday to me. He's like, "Who's still starting this guy?" And I'm like, "Me."
I didn't say it like that. I said like, isn't it time to sit Miles Sanders?
Yeah. So I currently am sitting him in our matchup.
Yep.
This week.
You'll probably end up starting him though, knowing you.
And
then he'll get 8 points, and you'll throw your phone on the ground.
I see. This is the problem. I spent my whole fantasy career, like overthinking everything and pulling guys out of my lineup that I shouldn't be pulling out of my lineup at the last second. Like 5 weeks ago in the home league, I pulled out Kareem Hunt when he had like 20 points for Fournette.
Yeah,
because I was like, I don't like his matchup. Like, it's just sometimes things are a lot more simpler than you want to make them out to be. But anyway, Sanders against New Orleans it's going to be an extremely tough matchup this week. I think against running backs, New Orleans has given up 11 fantasy points per game. We can talk about the fact that I saw this earlier today, and it astounded me. Miles Sanders had a 56% snap percentage last week in the matchup against Green Bay. It's way too low. And to be honest with you, until Doug Peterson gets fired, I don't think he's going to go over 65% again. And I think the biggest issue for me is that not only are you playing New Orleans, one of the toughest run defenses in the NFL, you also are probably only going to see 50% of the snaps, and Boston Scott's going to see the other 50%. I would definitely not be surprised if he only scores like 5 points this week.
No,
I hope he doesn't. I hope I'm dead wrong. I'm hedging my bets and I'm starting him in another league.
Yeah.
I love Sanders too much.
Right.
But
No, I'm with you though. I wouldn't really. If you have any option that's better at all, which is like a lot at this point, he's being started still in 77% of leagues. It's just too much against New Orleans that has really been the best run defense in the league, not just fantasy wise, but in the real NFL. It's very hard to run
against Arizona
the
and Dallas. I'm okay with starting him.
Yeah, sure.
But against New Orleans, it's a tough one.
Against the Saints, it's just so tough, and I have a feeling too the Saints are going to play, force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball, and make the rookie have to make a lot of plays. It's just the Eagles have been so bad. Doug Peterson's been so bad. I'm not trusting anyone on the Eagles. But especially Miles Sanders at this point, which is tough to say because we're big Miles Sanders guys. But the snap percentage is too low. It's just way too tough a matchup. I think he's probably only going to get like 10 carries.
Yeah.
All points that you mentioned. It's a sad situation, but it's time to sit Miles Sanders.
So this little blurb here that I just read from Roto Baller is probably the best description as to why you shouldn't start him. The headline is, Miles Sanders could struggle in week 14. I think you can change the could to will.
Most likely. Watch he gets 25.
And it says Philadelphia Eagles running back Miles Sanders could be set up for a rough week in week 14 against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have done an excellent job at limiting the production of opposing tight ends. I'm assuming that they mean running backs. That combined with Sanders not getting anywhere near the touches expected makes him a very risky option this week. Sanders has just 18 touches over the past 2 weeks and has gone 3 straight weeks finishing outside the top 30 for fantasy running backs.
That's hard to do.
The upside still remains there, obviously, but the risk with Sanders is possibly starting to outweigh the potential. Even with a new quarterback in charge, Sanders is an iffy RB3. So that is why I'm not starting him this week. It is a 3. Our league is a 3 flex league. I just glitched the light out. It's a 3 flex league. So
and you're still sitting.
I could probably start him. I think Claypool or Sanders.
It is tough. It's a tough choice. I'd start at Claypool though. Probably.
Yeah, we'll see what I end up deciding by Sunday. But anyway, so that's the sit of the week. Let's talk about the wide receivers quickly because we're running out of time on the show. Wide receiver start of the week. I originally said Marquise Brown, who's been having a couple of good weeks. He shakes his head. No. He asked me, he was like, I said Marquise Brown, and then he was like, so you want to start T.Y. Hilton? I'm like, why does that correlate? And he's like, T.Y. had like 22 and 50 in the last 2 weeks. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I still wouldn't start him. He's like, yeah, I know. And you want to start Marquise Brown? I said, yeah, 14 and 10.
I like the line of thinking with Hollywood.
He has really good matchups for the rest of the season.
And he does have good matchups, but it's still like...
A lot of people gave up on him, and I picked him up and in multiple leagues. And he has just such an easy schedule that if Lamar starts playing really well...
Yeah,
and starts throwing a lot more touchdowns, like Marquise Brown could be really good. But Rick's pick was safer. I just didn't want to put 2 Titans on this list.
I want you, while I'm talking, to look up T.Y. Hilton stats and then look up Hollywood Brown stats for the whole season and just compare the two. Anyway, the guy we decided to pick because I told him to choose somebody else.
I'm actually going to do it.
Yeah. It's Corey Davis against Jacksonville. Corey Davis has been one of the most underrated wide receivers this year in fantasy. He's my guy. He's always been my guy. But last week against Cleveland, he really showed up. I think he had like 27 fantasy points. I'll get the exact number right here for in a second. Yeah, he had 29 fantasy points in half PPR, which is ridiculous. But even all season, he's got 13, 11, 9, and then he missed 2 games, and then he had 12, 12 and a half, 22, and then he had 0 against Chicago, but he was limited, I believe, in that game. And then so I don't really count that one, but you can count it if you want. Then he had 9, 13, 8, 29. So other than that one game where he got 0 and didn't really play, his lowest total all season has been 8.5.
I think he's like the wide receiver 14 since the bye week.
Yeah, he's super something underrated, and he's a guy that you can easily start against Jacksonville, who is one of the worst pass defenses in the league. And as we talked about earlier, Ryan Tannehill going to have potentially a huge week. I would expect Corey Davis to have a good week as well.
Now, why did you tell me to look up those stats? Because T.Y. Hilton is literally the wide receiver 43. Or actually, wide receiver 40, and T.Y. Hilton is the wide receiver 50. So they are different.
They are different, but not by a lot. Look at just week by week.
I mean, I'm going to be
So-
honest. Hilton and Marquise Brown are probably on the same level, but they're both okay starts if you need to start this week. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, no, I actually agree, but it's still like gross.
Are you overthinking it? Yes.
No, I mean in deeper leagues, I think T.Y. Hilton and Hollywood Brown
It's
are
tougher
fine.
because, I mean, T.Y. has had such a bad season, and I'm unsure as to why they decided to target him the last couple weeks. And I mean, we could have told you. I think we had him as a bust this year.
I did have him as a bust.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like it wasn't a good situation. And some people have Marquise Brown as a breakout. We did not go that far
very glad
because
didn't.
we know that they don't throw the football.
Yeah,
So it's
we
pretty
both were on the board of the Ravens having some passing regression this year.
Yeah. So anyway, the wide receiver sit of the week is the Houston Texans wide receivers. You're going to see some articles come out about Kiki Kuti being a starter this week. You're going to see some articles come out about starting Brandon Cooks. And against Chicago, I don't like it.
It's hard to start either.
To go, especially this is more based in Kiki Kuti because I think Brandon Cooks could probably have a decent week, especially if he catches a long touchdown or something like that.
I was gonna say he might get a touchdown.
But if like for Kiki Kuti, I just don't see it happening. A lot of people think he's going to be Will Fuller this week, and and they're saying start him against Chicago, and I feel like that is totally overthinking fantasy football in a lot of ways.
I mean, we said that he has that potential on the waiver wire show, but it's not for games like this.
Yeah.
Against Chicago, that is a very good defense. It's just going to be hard for him, I think, to put up the numbers he did this past week. I think Kiki could have a few big weeks at the end of the season when they play some easier matchups. But again, against Chicago, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. Chicago has given up 20 fantasy points to wide receivers. You have Brandon Cooks.
I think Brandon Cooks probably going to get like 14.
Yeah,
off the
and
20.
then you have
13 to the
Kiki Kuti.
20.
I guess you could switch this to just Kiki Kuti, but
Yeah.
and I think there's going to be a couple of fantasy points to rando wide receivers as well. So
I mean, there's a chance Kiki goes off and then Cooks gets like 1 fantasy point. But they're I think
for
both
sure,
of them are not
for
going to have
sure.
good weeks. One of them might have a decent week, but either way, neither of them. I
think Watson and the Texans have been overperforming lately a little bit.
Yeah,
That's just me. So like I said, 30 seconds on each tight end.
okay.
Eric Ebron started the week at tight end against Buffalo. Buffalo has done pretty good job of allowing fantasy points to the tight end position. They allow, I believe it's 9 fantasy points a game. So Eric Ebron is ripe for a goal line target here or there. So I think he could definitely be a good start this week, and somebody who could punch it into the end zone.
Yeah, and then Dallas Goedert starts the week against the Saints, just like Miles Sanders. Philly's not going to really do much this week. Goedert was good with Carson Wentz as a starter, but with Jalen Hurts, we don't really know who he's going to target. And even with Zach Ertz coming back last week as well, Dallas Goedert's targets went down. So against the Saints this week, it just doesn't seem like a great play.
Okay, there we go. There you have it. A list of starts and sits for your fantasy playoff.
Yep. Oh, man, fantasy playoff. We're here.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it's already here. I'm pumped.
I know.
I'm psyched. I'm ready to go. We got one more show to go this week. So be sure to check it out. Check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and we'll talk to you Friday, tomorrow, for the news.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.